How's it going, everyone? And welcome to episode 46 of the Duck Boat Report. Here with Patrick Donnelly, I'm Brady Gardner. Patrick, how we doing?
We're doing well. Just made the quick switch to the professional background.
That was nice.
Um,
That was smooth.
what a commute to work that was. But happy we made it.
All right, we're also joined by Ethan Fuller. Ethan, how's it going?
Very, very solid, although I need to start getting ready for a stats test, and I have not gone to a stats class since we have switched to Zoom. So
Oh, no.
we're going to get there. I
Wow.
hope my professor does not listen to this podcast.
I
Off
came
to a
away with
hot start.
a smooth 52 on my stats test yesterday.
Oh,
Oh,
But
I don't
there
know
will
if
be a
prospective
curve. The
employers
final
should be
grades will
listening
be
to this one.
curved. So
alrighty. Well, we'll stick to sports, I guess, because it seems like that's the only thing we got going for us.
not a numbers guy.
As always, we'll start with a bit of a coronavirus update because there is some developments around the state of sports in terms of the pandemic. So we'll get into some of that and get your thoughts on it. Something tells me it's going to be pessimistic, but I'd like to run a few things by you. So first, the probably biggest development we've had in quite some time here, and it's hard to take it seriously, but we're going to do it anyway. Florida has announced that sports are now considered an essential service within the borders of Florida, which means that they can play baseball games, they can do WWE wrestling, whatever they want to do in Florida can be done with the necessary team and media and league personnel. And that's pretty much what it was. It was, I think, fairly open-ended. Do you take this seriously? What are your reactions to Florida opening for sports?
I didn't realize we started taking Florida seriously. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want sports back as much as the next guy, but it's kind of like the MLB's thing where if we're trying to come back way too soon, it's not going to end well for anybody involved.
Yeah. There's more on that with the MLB too, but we'll stick on this subject for now. Ethan, you were going to say?
I mean, I was just going to agree that it's ridiculous. And I don't know who this is appealing to really, besides the vast communities of elderly folk in their like portable RV homes that are in like the fancy estates that just don't really have anything to do except look for sports. This is not going to help anyone, especially if it's just Florida.
I think it's kind of a foundation for what could potentially happen. And Patrick doesn't believe this, but let's hear me out on this because they've been looking for a location to restart the MLB season. It seems like baseball has been pressing the most. And so, why don't we play it in spring training facilities? What, Florida?
You're going to do it in Florida, which is currently getting slammed because of how poor their response was.
Well, I don't know. It's beyond that. Let's stick in a couple spring training facilities. The Red Sox and the Twins both play in Fort Myers. Let's put people in hotels there. It's nice. It's on the beach. It's great. And you can play your baseball at these stadiums because it's now legal in Florida. And oh, by the way, the governor of Florida is one of Trump's, good buddies. So I think it's pretty obvious that this is all working out for a reason here. If you look into, some of the conspiracy theories, where Trump had that call Trump called the commissioners and he was like, very positive. We're trying to get sports back as soon as we can. What, Patrick?
No, I think it was Ethan just had a weird noise come up. But
it's not even a conspiracy theory. It just is what's happening.
Okay. Well, regardless, it's not proven, so I'm calling it a conspiracy, so I don't end up getting a call from the FBI. Regardless, I think this is pretty obvious. This is the first step towards getting baseball in particular, but sports in general, back in Florida. And you can move the leagues to Florida temporarily, and that's where it's going to be done. And oh, by the way, the governor of Arizona is also Republican, so maybe that's the next shoe to drop. That's my thought here.
My thought is, we can all agree that sports is not an essential business. I think we get that.
Right.
If you open this up, how many people that are small business owners or whatever are going to complain that oh, this is an essential business, but my livelihood is not an essential business for me or my community.
Yeah.
You're just muddying the waters.
And it's like, if they were to do it in Arizona, this isn't waterproof. It's not completely sealed off. Their players still have to travel to the stadium. They still have families. They're obviously still interacting with people. This thing can still keep spreading. And in the meantime, you're still hurting the communities because what if it start just whether player interactions or at some point they let fans in prematurely, and all of a sudden this just reboots again.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't have any words other than just the utter stupidity it is. Like Ethan's right. When you boil it down to it, sports are not an essential business, as much as I hate to say that.
No, it's not an essential business right now. Like if they were to say play ball tomorrow and MLB starts back up during pretty much the peak of it here, that would be pretty dumb. But let's say this is just kind of putting something in place so that in a couple weeks or a month or whatever it's going to be where it's more reasonable to come back, they already have this in place. And for like the WWE, I guess, they can now do their shoots legally in their closed buildings, and they don't have to force people to come in. Only the people that want to come can go do it, which I know is kind of a big deal. And also Trump, big WWE supporter, so there you go. Just kind of interesting to see how the puzzle pieces are coming together a little bit. And another one of those kinds of outside things that has an implication on this was a recent kind of agreement that the MLB made. I don't know if you people heard about this. This is me hearing it from somewhere and now trying to repeat it, so I might miss some details. But the net of it is the MLB has volunteered for a study because it is a national business with workers of all socioeconomic classes, from the multi-million-dollar players to the concession workers in the bowels of Fenway Park, and they can volunteer these people for testing with the new test to see what antibodies people have built up. And so the MLB is allowing its employees to be tested for data purposes and overall national recovery. And all the PR stuff that has come out has said this is great from the MLB, and there's no way that this is with some kind of side interest. It is purely to help America. Isn't that great, guys?
Yay, PR. Yay. I love PR.
Cool. Thumbs
I
up.
mean, I haven't.
I don't know.
I guess you didn't follow my track there. That it's pretty obvious the MLB just wants to do this to prove that their employees are for the most part healthy or over this, and we can go play baseball and it's going to be safe and everything's going to be great. Or they can say, oh, look at our players are 75% healthy. Okay, let's send them down and they'll start the season. This is kind of a side way to get all those tests that we've talked about. Why does the MLB deserve these tests? Oh, because they're participating in a study. That's what it is.
It's so dumb. Like these, I don't like to be like the social martyr or whatever, but like these corporations that are just, hey, look at us. And then they're also at the same time incredibly tone deaf. And why? So the Dow Jones can go up 0.3%. Like, come on. Nonsense. That's what it is.
Ethan, do you have a reaction?
I mean, I didn't read too much into the story. I've only seen the headlines that have kind of splashed around. But yeah, I pretty much am with you that it's so obvious that they could easily just pick and choose who they want to get tested, or like they could easily just overwhelm the sample size with just people that know that they don't have it. And so they're just going to like make them get tested. As you said,
if it's testing for antibodies, why would a healthy person who hasn't had it yet have the antibodies? You're just taking tests and time and resources away from people who might actually be able to donate plasma for the antibodies.
Right. That's the concern. You're taking all these tests and resources and you're putting it towards something that's really not essential, even though Florida thinks it is. It just doesn't make sense right now. But again, say in a couple weeks or in a month, when maybe hopefully we're on the decline a little bit, then maybe we can get going the right direction. And it's okay to have these tests used for baseball. I don't quite know. But that's where we stand right now with coronavirus. Anything I'm missing, folks?
I don't think so.
Oh, golf actually had a big thing. There you go, Patrick. Your PGA is turning in the right direction. They've announced that they're going to start June 11th, was it?
Yeah. I think that's a little early still. I was thinking like the John Deere, which is in July-ish. It's the week before the Open. I was thinking that'd be a good ballpark, but I mean, like, I don't know. It's kind of the same thing with the MLB. It's kind of dumb. I mean, like, golf might be a little easier to control. Like, everyone's far apart. obviously they're not going to have fans for the first while. I mean, like, really just throwing me right into the hypocrite thing here, aren't you?
Mm. Yeah. Well, no, golf is different, and you don't need like people are still golfing today. In
Yeah.
Connecticut and Rhode Island, like golf still goes on with precautions, obviously, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing, caddies are wearing gloves, and the caddies are picking
They
the
should do
ball out
no
of the
caddies.
hole for the
Players should play
golfers.
they should do no caddies.
No caddies carry your own clubs.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, but then
So
it gets
Matthew Fitzpatrick
into,
wants to carry his own clubs.
I mean, I caddy, so
Okay, buddy.
then you get into the caddies getting paid because there are also guys sweating about paying their caddies because it's a player. It's not they have, I don't know, a corporation backing them. It's just the player paying the caddy individually. But
That's true. But you look at the mock schedule that the PGA has put out, and it is aggressive, especially when you get to September. You have the Tour Championship, the 3rd to 7th. You have the U.S. Open 2 weeks later, 17th to 20th. And then the week after that is the Ryder Cup, 25th to 27th. So, like, some of these older guys, like Tiger Woods, you expect him to play in all 3 of those major tournaments? Not necessarily majors, but
he's had this much rest. I mean, why not?
3 weeks in a row. It's aggressive. And then, obviously, Masters in November, which is, like, unheard of for the normal golf season.
Bye, Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan's had enough of our golf talk.
I just changed my brightness.
Oh, okay. So that's the PGA, and I think this was big too because the PGA was the first real league, if you call it that, first sport to announce a return date. And obviously, it's very easy for golf to return, not so easy for hockey and baseball and basketball. But it was a step in the right direction, I think. So I think that's it for coronavirus. We'll move on for now, and we'll probably come back next week with more hope and more reasons to lose that hope instantly. Thanks, fellas.
You're welcome.
So, shall we talk NFL draft in 8 days? Move on to that?
Sure.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Okay. Cool. Well, first, I guess this is the first time we really talked about the draft. So we'll get right off the bat. What are the needs for the Patriots? Like, just totally on the surface, where are you looking for the Patriots to draft?
I want to see them. I mean, I don't absolutely need them to take a quarterback. I would like them to take quarterback at some point, preferably in the mid to late rounds. Wide receiver, especially apparently this class is one of the deepest in a long time. So I would love for them to go after a wide receiver that they like. Linebacker, I want them to kind of find the heir to Dante Hightower because Hightower's he's kind of on his last legs. And I feel like the Patriots have done a really good job kind of building like a leader of the linebacking core throughout their 20 years. Like you had Teddy Bruschi, then you had Gerard Mayo, and you had Mike Vrabel too, and then you had Dante Hightower kind of take it from Mayo. And so I'd like to find that next guy if Belichick can find him in this draft. So linebacker, obviously always offensive line. Yeah, that'd be what I want.
All right, Patrick?
I agree with Ethan. I've kind of changed my tune on a quarterback. Now you have the open roster spot after you cut Cody Kessler. Again, not a necessity, but I'd prefer they take one, I guess. And I told you before we started recording, I just want skill, whether it's skill on offense with wide receiver or skill on defense with a linebacker, like Ethan said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And obviously, we know how well Bill is at drafting offensive line in the later rounds. And, I mean, if you can pick up a tight end, too.
Right.
Tight end would be great.
That's my priority, tight end. I think you really missed it last year, both in terms of blocking and the passing game. So you need a legit tight end, and it seems like there's a decent list of them. I haven't done my homework enough to know exactly like every tight end and what's the best and what's not. But I think it'd be pretty exciting to see Thaddeus Moss come to Foxborough, and wear the same 81 that his dad wore. Like that'd be cool.
Put Jarrett Stidham in 12.
What was that?
Have Jarrett Stidham wear 12.
Oh my gosh, that would be aggressive. I don't think anybody's wearing 12 for a while here.
I don't think anyone's wearing 12 ever again, but go on.
I don't think anyone's wearing 12 ever again.
So I think my philosophy is a little aligned with Patrick's in that I want skill players here. And obviously we saw how that went with N'Keal Harry last year, where it was all, great skill and didn't really pan out, but some of it was injury and not really stuff he could control. Some of it was a veteran quarterback that didn't want to throw to him. What?
That. They didn't involve him, but that's for another day.
So maybe they will with different quarterback at the helm. And there's been plenty of shade, by the way, between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And maybe we'll touch on that later. But for now, we're focusing on the draft. So I'd like to see those skill players, especially tight end. I don't know if I'm desperate to see them bring in a wide receiver because I think it's easier to pick guys up if they know like the system and they're good route runners. I think that's kind of what the Patriots traditionally use the best, although you never know, changing quarterback, maybe that scheme changes a little bit. So yeah, tight end's my priority. I'm not too worried about the linebacker situation. Obviously it's pretty dire right now, but I feel like they've got some guys coming up the system with Chase Winovich. I think he's going to take a big step, and Jawan Bentley, that's the name that always escapes my mind. I'm excited to see what he does in year 3. And that's my thought. But the exciting conversation is the quarterbacks. So I want to get your thoughts on the quarterbacks. First, do the Patriots need to draft a quarterback? Or do you want them to draft a quarterback?
They don't absolutely need to, but I'd like them to.
Why?
I mean, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Because you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. I think I've made this same point before.
I mean, no, yeah, we made that point where they had already made their bet. It looks like they're committing to Stidham and Hoyer.
Exactly.
But obviously, I'm not expecting a kid you draft this year to step in right away. Hoyer's only for 1 year. You don't know what you have in Stidham. Stock up.
So how much do you really develop that third guy if they're at the bottom of the depth chart behind Brian flippin' Hoyer?
Well, it's kind of like what you did with Stidham last year, where he started the season as the scout team, and you're like, this isn't maximizing him. He needs to take reps with the actual offense. And so you move Hoyer to the scout, or you bring in Cody Kessler for the scout team, and you have Stidham just become the practice quarterback. And I think that'd be a good move to do with this kid. Just reps, develop.
Yeah. All right. I don't mind it. Ethan, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I get the too many cooks in the kitchen argument because I feel like a lot of times when you see those like 3+ straight QB competitions, like the Jets have had that happen so many times, and then if none of them pan out, it's always kind of sad. But I think it's nice just to have another young option because Stidham is so unproven that you can develop another guy, and you have the vet, like you have Brian Hoyer as the safety valve. So it's not like you're putting all the eggs in one basket with one young QB.
Yes. All right.
So I'd like to have another. I'm going to maintain my do not waste your first round pick on a quarterback. I think
it's on a tight end.
Well, tight end too. I feel like tight ends are notoriously hard to draft. Like it's real. I feel like we have so many first and second round tight end busts. I know Gronk was a second round pick, but
Hernandez?
like Eric Ebron.
Forget Hernandez.
Wasn't he a 4th rounder?
Hernandez was 4th or 5th, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So I think I think you need a tight end. I don't think you should just hunt for one in the first round, which I guess is my same approach to QBs. Like, don't throw everything away to take a guy in the first round for the sake of because you think he's a star.
We kind of do this every year where we're like, oh, maybe they'll get X wide receiver or X tight end or Lamar Jackson with their first round pick. And we know Bill Belichick is just going to, aside from N'Keal Harry last year, that was a curveball, but we know he's just probably going to take an offensive lineman or someone first.
Right.
And then they'll blow out their knee or their ankle in OTAs if they happen, and they'll miss their first year, and then they'll come back. It's the same song and dance every year.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple other quick-fire questions. Ethan said he doesn't want to see an early round choice for the quarterback. And, it's tough because they don't even have a second-round pick, thanks to N'Keal Harry. Mohamed Sanu, that's who it was. I mean, they both had pretty much the same impact, which was nothing.
Nothing.
So they don't have a second pick. They have, 23 overall and then, 89. There's a major jump there.
They have a couple thirds, 3 or 4, I believe.
They have 3 thirds, I think.
Okay, so are you going rounds 1 through 3 with a quarterback, or are you waiting for 4 through 7 and beyond?
You're going to – I think
3rd or 4th would be ideal.
3rd or 4th round?
I say 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Well, not 2. You don't have a second.
You can trade up.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe do that.
I don't know.
They never trade up, though. They always trade down. So.
Yeah, but.
Okay. The other question, do you want a quarterback that fits the scheme that Tom Brady built, or do you want to try something fresh? This has been kind of the whole conversation through free agency as well.
Something fresh.
I don't think as long as Belichick's there, you can go with someone fresh. I think you got to pick a guy that Belichick's just going to be easily mesh with.
Yeah.
As long as Belichick's here, you're going with what he likes, which is a Brady-esque guy.
All right, well then there's no point to drafting a quarterback because you have that in Stidham and Hoyer.
Yeah,
You
or
have
you
a
draft
good enough
another guy that's like
quarterback.
the same thing.
Sorry. Me?
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that. I think there's no point in drafting that unless you find that same guy,
Yeah.
but just
Or
better than Stidham and Hoyer.
yes, he has to be better or at least have a higher ceiling, right? It would be
Yeah.
pointless to just draft a carbon copy. So, but I think
Yeah,
I'd
but
want
what
to see
about the
them keep
higher ceiling that might not be traditional?
That's
Well,
the
I think that
It's a
comes down
different
to
league. It is like
yeah. I don't know.
it is, but I don't know if Belichick.
Can Belichick and McDaniel switch on a dime and go to a mobile quarterback offense? I don't think they can. After
it
20
doesn't
years,
necessarily
a guy
have
who
to be a
doesn't
mobile
leave-
quarterback. It can be a quarterback who can play that traditional style and also can utilize his mobility when he needs it.
That's the dream, right? It's perfect.
And we
Yeah.
see it pay off, though. It's Kansas City and Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson and Mahomes, like I said. Like, I mean, the pocket passing quarterback's dead. Like, Jared Goff just got swallowed up in his third year because he hasn't adapted and really grown that much from his second year. And Tom Brady, as much as I hate to say it, is severely declining.
Whoa.
Even like Aaron Rodgers, not as mobile as he once used to be. Like, he's declining as well. It's like talk about Max Kellerman's cliff. No one talks about it with Aaron Rodgers.
So yeah, in today's NFL, you need to move a little bit. So who's your guy then? Do you know the quarterbacks well enough to have a guy at this point?
I don't know him well enough, but I still have a guy.
Who's this?
Jalen Hurts.
Why?
I think he has the value and the upside for where you could get him at day 2 or 3.
All right. I'm okay on Hurts.
Okay.
I think he's exciting because he has that versatility. Where I don't know, it might be unrealistic, but people have compared him to like he could be a Taysom Hill kind of player, and I'd be interested in that because I don't know like if he's gonna be a perfect quarterback in the NFL, but I do think he offers a lot of versatility that you could use in many situations, and I know some of the trickery that Belichick has used in the past to limited success could definitely be improved with a guy like Hurts who can come in and take snaps when your traditional Hoyer and Stidham offense isn't working. So it's an interesting idea. Ethan, who do you have?
I mean, I like Hurts not for the same reasons. I don't think he's as mobile as maybe a lot of people think he is, and I don't know if he's like that accurate. What I've seen is that he like has the leadership, and he's like a guy that a locker room can rally around, which I think is super important to have, especially if you're turning the franchise over to a young quarterback. You really need that, and so I think Hurts has that.
Like, do you want that out of your third string quarterback? Like,
well, hopefully he's not your third string quarterback.
So who is?
I mean,
hopefully not the guy you draft.
It's going to happen unless you think they're going to displace Hoyer or Stidham. They're going to cut Hoyer again and have even more dead money?
Yeah, I mean Hoyer's on a minimum contract. That doesn't matter.
It's another dead $1 million.
Yeah, if you're drafting a guy
per year though,
you don't. If you're drafting and you're the Patriots right now, you don't draft a quarterback because you think he's a nice third stringer. Like you're drafting a guy with the upside of a solid starter.
Yeah, but to start as a third stringer because you need a veteran quarterback, and you're not going to get rid of Jared Stidham, probably. That'd be wild if they did.
Yeah, but Tom Brady started as a third stringer, and everyone knew he was a leader at that time too. And I think you can apply the same to Jalen Hurts and a lot of quarterbacks in that situation.
All right. Do you have another name you liked?
Yeah, Hurts isn't my number one. He's probably my second guy, but I do like him. I mean, I found that guy, James Morgan, Florida International. Every description I read just reads like a Tom Brady description. Like
Sam Tucker lookalike. If Sam Tucker and Matt Turner had a child.
Yes, he's such a I think this is a guy that just fits the profile of what Belichick wants, where he's going to be like he's just going to step in there. He knows how to take hits. He has a decent arm, fairly accurate. He likes the small school guys, like we saw that with Jimmy Garoppolo, where they come in out of nowhere, like Eastern Illinois. This guy's Florida International. So I like him as like a fourth round, just swing on this guy, and maybe he's awesome. And if he's not, oh well.
Yeah.
I know you like Fromm. I like Fromm solid too. I think Fromm, you're lacking a lot of the upside play that you get with Morgan and Hurts. But I mean, Fromm is like solid. I think if you're drafting for like a safe guy, where if Stidham and Hoyer really fail, Fromm's fine.
Yeah, ever since he's burst out like 3 years ago, and admittedly he's fallen off since then. I have been a huge Jake Fromm fan.
Well,
Yeah,
I remember you saying Jake Fromm. I was like, Jake Fromm, hasn't he been drafted already? And like, no, he's just fell off the face of the planet.
which is why his draft stock has fallen, and you can probably get him in the fourth or fifth round at this point, which I think is a bargain. Because if you watch this kid's highlights, they're like, what can you not like? He's not huge, which I don't like. That's why I
I
don't
mean,
like Tua.
your favorite guy you tagged with the dreaded game manager.
What?
You said he's a game manager,
Who said that's a bad thing?
which is like purgatory.
No, I
It's
don't mind a
worse than
game
hell,
manager.
better worse than heaven. Like,
Jimmy Garoppolo is an
I
epitome
mean,
of a
it's
game manager at this point for Kyle Shanahan over there. But regardless, I like Fromm's mechanics. He gets the ball out quick, which I think some of the guys towards the top of the list, like Justin Herbert, got a big long like delivery, takes it years, then
Yep.
he gets drilled.
yeah,
And, like Fromm just kind of flicks it. And if you look at these highlight packages, you got the guys at the top of the list, and like Burrow throwing to some of the best receivers in college football at LSU, and they're like 20 yards open. There's no one even in the screen by the time they catch it. It's like, okay, how good is that on the quarterback when the receivers are just dominating everybody in the first place? But I feel like Fromm's highlight reels, he's like putting it in really tight windows and putting it where only his receivers can catch it in heavy, I guess, competition on the sidelines or in the middle of the field. So I've just liked what I've seen from him. And apparently his strongest asset is his football IQ, which is great for a guy who's going to start on a practice squad, or not practice squad, but on a scout team, basically. If this is a
But-
guy that you say, okay, go become, Russell Wilson for a game, or whoever you're going to be playing against, he could probably do that. And that's how you get him reps, and that's how you make him useful in his first couple seasons, maybe first season, whatever it's going to be. I think it's great.
I think it's nice. I would probably put him third behind the other two guys I mentioned. I think a lot of those guys in like the fourth, fifth round are fine. And I think they're, in the case of Hurts and Morgan, and I guess Fromm to a lesser extent, like you can envision them all playing as a starting quarterback for the Pats. It just depends on like where are they going to take you based on like the leadership quality, the IQ, the like arm intangibles that I'm talking about for Morgan. Like they all have different things. It's just which one is ultimately it comes down to like which one is going to mesh with what Belichick wants.
Yeah. I know there's
Because
a lot of
Belichick's not going to.
I think if you're talking about who the Bill Belichick pick is, it's Morgan.
Mhm.
I mean, especially he's gotten the most like exposure and publicity lately. Like,
Well,
they're clearly infatuated with him.
the other guy, too, on the Patriots list, it seems, is Jordan Love. A lot of love for Jordan Love, apparently. He's been highly scouted. Another, not the biggest school, Utah State, but apparently he's got everything that you need. But he does apparently lack some of the mental stuff, too, which I know.
Yeah,
There's also competition. I know a lot of other teams are going after him too. So
yeah.
I don't know
Like,
if the Pats want to kind of play that bidding war.
if you're
well,
talking
yeah.
about the mental, like the knock on Hurts is his indecisiveness because he might hold on to the ball too long if he doesn't have what he likes open.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing on the quarterbacks I want to ask you. Let's say people are getting so scared of old buddy Tua, who was supposed to be the number one pick until he busted his hip last year. If Tua slips to 23, are you taking him?
Nope, absolutely not. No way.
I have no chance. If he slipped to the third
Because
round, I wouldn't want him.
well, okay. My issue with that is one, if he slips to 23, then obviously there is something wrong, so you should not take him. And two, again, I'm gonna say this over and over. I don't want them to draft a guy with a preset expectation that he is the guy. Like if you're drafting a first round quarterback, whether we've had the argument about if he should start right away, but either way, that's supposed to be the guy for the future if you're taking the first round. And I don't think you should. I don't think Belichick wants to, and I don't think you should want to place the expectation on that guy so soon, especially in New England.
Patrick? He's going to do
I
it.
don't know.
He's going to do it.
You
He's
have
good.
to,
I'm not saying
because of
he's
the
bad. He's
upside.
great.
I mean, you.
He's a shrimp. He gets smacked on every play, and he gets hurt every other game.
I think he's great. I just think that there's too much that's at risk, and I think there's too much that could. It's not safe, and I think that's so against everything the Patriots do. It's the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Like one, I don't think Lamar Jackson would be the player that he is if he was in the Patriots system. I think he's actually he would be a much better player not with the Patriots.
Hmm.
And I also think that if you had drafted Lamar Jackson, then that's the expectation, especially in the first round where you had to draft him. And I think it's the same thing with Tua.
Well,
We're like, yeah,
we lost
I don't know.
Patrick.
Maybe
He's gone. He's given up. Oh, hi.
Oh, what's your decision?
I don't know. I mean, it's
I mean, he won't drop to
the
23,
gift
so we don't
horse
need to
looking you in the mouth, like, or look. I don't know, whatever that phrase is.
Wasn't him.
You're looking the gift horse in the mouth, I guess. Whatever that is. Like, I don't know, because then you become, say he turns into what people think he's gonna be, then you become like, who's picking after the Patriots? The Seahawks or whatever? You become the team that just gifted. I guess if the subsequential teams in front of you are, but like that would just be so magnified here in New England, especially with the way people think of Belichick the GM and Belichick the drafter. I don't know. I'm very torn on it. I just feel like you might have to because of the potential. It's such a boom or bust pick, but I understand why you wouldn't.
Where do you get all these sayings? It's ridiculous. I've never heard that before.
It's like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
That's
I've heard
exactly
that. I've
what it
heard
is.
that saying. I've
It's
never heard
don't
it used
question the
in the
value of a
context of a
gift. It's the same
conversation.
thing. That's wild. I've never heard of that. Huh.
I mean, if we want to talk about what ifs in the draft and trades, you can get into the topic I wanted to talk about today.
Yes, the topic of the day. We'll do that. We will come back to the draft obviously next week because the
How about
draft
a
is still in
segue
8
there,
days. What?
How about that segue?
That was smooth. That was smooth. But when you mention it, it gets less smooth. So something to consider. All right. So you talk about the Patriots' not so great record in terms of drafting. Are we looking purely Patriots here?
No, I was just talking about in general. Like, I have Bruins ones I'm gonna go off on. I'm more gonna go off on the revisionist history aspect of it, but I mean, I'll talk about the Bruins ones.
Okay, so in the spirit of NFL draft talk, and really being all we have left in sports right now, we're gonna go through some of the drafts of previous years, and some of the biggest busts, I guess, is what's on Patrick's mind. It seems like you have somebody on the top of your mind. Who is it?
Drafts and trades. Like, I have a group chat with some friends from high school today. We got into some big arguments today about, first of all, I hate arguing and debating over text. That's just so dumb. Mm-hmm. Because you're typing away and then your point becomes moot and you have to delete it all, whatever. And we were talking about the Joe Thornton trade, the Tyler Seguin trade, the Blake Wheeler trade, and like the three first-round picks from 2015 for the Bruins, Saboro, DeBrusk, Senyshyn. And one of my friends, just such revisionist history on, the Seguin trade, the Joe Thornton trade makes my blood boil. Like, Blake Wheeler. First of all, the Blake Wheeler trade brought you a Stanley Cup in Rich Peverly. Anyways, this revisionist history is so dumb. Like, at the time when the Seguin trade first happened, people were okay with the return. Louis Erickson was a star. Obviously, injuries didn't let that work out, and the prospects you got were pretty bad. And I mean, sure, Seguin popped off, and it became a bad trade because you lost a superstar and things didn't work out really for Boston. But I'd say they're better off now, and you don't really draft David Pastrnak if you don't have that need for a right winger. But that's neither here nor there. And like the Joe Thornton trade, yeah, it sucked. Yeah, Brian Burke mentioned a couple weeks ago how he was ready to give Boston the moon for Joe Thornton before whatever his face was at the time for the GM just wasn't patient, traded him to San Jose just to get him off his hands. Like, this revisionist history, I hate it so much because you can nitpick every single return. You can nitpick every single aspect of the return. But who could have known at the time? Like, we were happy with the Seguin return. We were happy we got rid of this seemingly problem on the team. And now all of a sudden we hate it because things didn't work out. Of course you don't like it because it didn't work out. Like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of floundering here, but there's no point to it. Nobody could have known what could have happened, right? That's just my rant. I don't know. Like, there's no point to it. And like the Blake Wheeler one, like, you forget that who could have known that Blake Wheeler was all of a sudden just going to magically figure it out and it was going to magically click for him like it has in Winnipeg the last few years. Nobody could have known that. You got Rich Peverly, who was massive for you down the stretch in those playoffs, and you probably don't beat Vancouver without him. Like, am I missing something here?
No, I agree with that. I mean, like I obviously don't know these specific trades like you do, but I think it's I think it's tough because the problem is either what you're talking about with the revisionist history, or it's that you're jumping to a conclusion right after a trade. So you can't do both. Maybe you can say like, oh, I think this trade's good, and then you decide, oh, it was. Then you look back and say, oh, it was good, it just didn't work out. Or you say, I'm gonna wait and see if this is good or bad, and then later you think about it. But I understand that like there's so much there hypocriticism when you're looking at trades. For me, the example with like the Celtics, for example, is the Jason Tatum Markelle Fultz trade, which I get really upset when people are like, "Oh, that was an amazing trade." Danny Ainge fleeced the Sixers, when you're forgetting that like Markelle Fultz messed up his ankle in summer league, but before that he was the best player in summer league by far. Like this guy was going to be a star, and it made so much sense for the Sixers to do that. And the Celtics got the Celtics got an
And
awesome guy, but the Sixers, and barring an injury, also got an awesome guy too.
And what you're getting at too is like they traded for draft picks. You don't know with these kids. Like you have
Yeah,
no idea. As much of a sure thing as we think Joe Burrow is, you have no idea until he starts getting snaps in the NFL. And that
and
like
I
kind of brings me to the three draft picks, Zaboral, Senyshyn, DeBrusque. Like Jacob Zaboral was the best pick of those three at the time, and might get some time in the NHL. He's certainly knocking on the door. We might see him next year. He's definitely not going to be a franchise cornerstone defenseman, but he could be a serviceable NHL defenseman, which is a fine career. He'll make some money and he'll get his minutes. But people were fine with Zaboral. The question marks were Senyshyn because he was so far up they picked him, and DeBrusque because of inconsistency, like we see now. And you like Senyshyn and Zaboral, you still don't know. They could become something or serviceable NHLers at the very least, just not what people expect of a first round pick. It's ridiculous. Like outside of the top 5 or top 7, you're not getting a superstar. You might not even get a superstar outside of the top 3. And for people to just automatically expect first round picks to just pop off is insane. And that's
yeah, I
my rant.
no, I completely agree with that part. And I think going back to what you said with Winnipeg, I think team fit, and Sagan too. I think team fit is the most underrated part of evaluating like a drafted player, a trade. Is just like the fact that sometimes it's just not working out between a player and a team, and that doesn't mean the player is bad, or it doesn't mean the team like automatically is a terrible team at managing their players. I think sometimes it just is not a fit. Like Lamar Jackson, for example, I don't think it would have worked out with the Patriots, and I think that's not saying I think Lamar Jackson is a one system quarterback, or that Bill Belichick is way too stubborn. I think they have different needs, and they wouldn't have meshed together. And Lamar Jackson obviously has gotten what he needed and been able to thrive with the Ravens. And I think it's the same, I'm sure, with hockey. I'm sure with basketball too, that sometimes you just need like the right type of people around you and the right environment to be successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and another example of that is like Andrew Raycroft for Tuukka Rask. Straight up, like Rask was a first round pick by the Maple Leafs. Raycroft had won the Rookie of the Year with the Bruins, had done pretty well in the playoffs for a team that didn't really deserve to be there, and kind of played very well his first 2 seasons. You make that 1-for-1 swap, Rask an unproven commodity, Raycroft seemingly going to have a good career, and all of a sudden Raycroft's been out of the league for like 4 years and doing TV now, and Tuukka Rask is going to win the Vezina this year. Like you have
Do you
no idea what's going to
do
happen.
you
That's
think
such a gamble with goalies.
is Tuca as good as he is now if he just stays with the Blue Jays his entire career? I mean, Blue Maple Leafs. Sorry. Well,
Probably not.
yeah.
Like
So I
those
think that's
Maple Leafs, like the Maple Leafs goaltending situation, probably because they didn't have Rask, and also just like the team mismanagement before like Brian Burke got there and kind of changed things around. Like just awful, like just total mismanagement on every level. I don't think anything would have improved that situation.
yeah. So I think that just goes back to like a player when you draft or trade for a player. It's not like they are what they are, and if they don't work out, it's because they were bad and you didn't realize that, or they were good and you didn't realize that. There's so much. It's so much more complicated than that, and I think a lot of people
Yeah.
don't realize that.
I think that has been the case for the Red Sox quite a bit, which is, no surprise. That's the team that I was just looking into a lot for some of their worst trades, and it's kind of crazy some of the things that have happened just really in the last 10 years. Obviously, losing John Lester and moving him for Yoenis Cespedes, which didn't go great. It's one of the names that you kind of remember, like, oh, he had a stop in Boston, like crazy. The potential was there. He was one of the best hitters in the league, but didn't work out, and so you lost Lester, and you also sent Johnny Gomes away. in that trade, and that was kind of the end of that 2013 championship team because those were two of the kind of main contributors to especially the playoff run there. And apparently, as I'm reading here, Lester's contract was going to end at the end of that season, so he was kind of a rental. So they were hoping that he would sign back, but they didn't give him enough money, and that's why he went to the Cubs. And so it's kind of interesting to think what could have been different if you had just kept Lester or given him all the money he needed, because he's still a very solid number one starter with the Cubs here, 7 years later. And instead you've been kind of cycling between overpaid guys ever since with, David Price getting a massive deal, Chris Sale being in and out. What else, So that's one of the worst deals.
Mookie Betts about to happen.
Mookie Betts. I mean, I haven't given up on that one yet because, again, every day that the MLB season gets delayed, the Mookie Betts trade looks better. That's
a good point about Mookie not being able to play, and it's like kind of like grading. Like I'm guilty of writing a few articles like grading the Bruins trade deadline and stuff. Like there's no point to grading a trade or saying, oh, this team won this trade right after the fact. You won't know for like 5 years, maybe even 10 years. You won't know.
Yeah.
And kind of like to the point, like Red Sox bringing in Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez, like two of the best players in the league at the time. And Carl Crawford it was just smoke and mirrors, I guess, because he just fell off a cliff. And like Adrian Gonzalez was like fine on the field, awful in the locker room. Nobody could have known that. Like,
yeah, and that's the other trade that caught my eye a little bit. The Red Sox traded Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, Josh Beckett, and Nick Punto, who I forgot we even had, for James Loney, Ruby De La Rosa, Alan Webster, Jerry Sands, and Ivan De Jesus. Do you remember any of those guys playing in a Red Sox uniform?
No.
Nope.
No. So it was kind of just a salary dump to the Dodgers, who covered $258 million of the $270 owed to those four players alone, which is just bonkers. And that was part of the 2012 into 2013 rebuild, which makes it all the more impressive too that within a year basically they went from having this problem with, was it Bobby V at the time, Bobby Valentine, 2012, and you had these big names but they stunk for you, and a year later you're winning the World Series with this band of misfits that somehow pulled it together just the right time. It is bonkers. The Red Sox have had some crazy trades, including trading Babe Ruth to the Yankees, but that was 100 years ago, so we won't worry about that. Any big Patriots moves that you didn't like?
I mean, if you're looking at the draft, Ryan Mallett.
Yeah, he was fine. He was a decent backup.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like what we're talking about now with these guys you can get in the middle rounds where we think they're going to be starters.
Right.
I feel like the Pats try a bunch of. I feel like you could think about this with all the reclamation guys they tried. Like, remember Albert Hainsworth? And how that was that was a big signing at the time, and he was going to be this like dynamic interior guy with Vince Wilfork, and that just did not work out, obviously. And then like Chris Long, Ocho Cinco,
Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne, exactly.
Antonio Brown.
Yep. Like those were at the time. I mean, I loved the Antonio Brown signing, and obviously that was a terrible idea. But you obviously just don't know now, and there's so much that you don't know about, and it's not purely just like, oh, let's see what this guy did. He will now do the same thing on the Patriots or something like that. Like you can't just translate it like that.
Good point. All right. Last thing on the agenda today is to go through the third and potentially final installment of the
definitely final
installment of the
I'm done tracking people down.
Compilation. What?
I'm done tracking people down and begging them help me with my article. But
3 it is. Okay, so we're gonna go through that because we've gone through both of them so far, and so Patrick is gonna do the sharing screen again and scroll us through it. Do so when you're ready.
Okay.
How lovely.
So here we are. Jerseys of WTBU Sports Part 3, final edition, featuring a pretty good variety in this one. We got LA, we got Boston, we got New York, and soccer. So bunch of fan bases, bunch of variety. So we're starting with Daniel Maltz, radio show director, broadcaster, future roommate for us 3 next year. His favorite is his Gleyber Torres New York Yankees home jersey. Big Yankee fan, old Maltzy.
It's okay.
His most obscure, one I really like.
I have a Brett Gardner jersey, by the way.
You do?
It's not a jersey. It's a jersey, like Ethan likes.
Are you related?
the T-shirt.
Yeah, he's my uncle.
Whoa. Okay, continue.
No, he's not.
No.
I
Brady
know
got
that.
me
He's
with that
like
last
20
year.
years younger than
He's
your
number
dad.
11 though, and I always wear number 11. So cool, right?
So we have Multzy's most obscure is Michael Wacha, St. Louis Cardinals with the 2013 World Series patch. I really like this one. His
They
biggest regret.
lost that World Series though.
Hmm?
I've heard they lost that World Series.
I heard they did too.
Yeah.
His biggest regret, OBJ Giants. Well, we know how that went.
Yeah.
Top of his wish list, Saquon Barkley, white jersey, has to have the 1-star captain patch.
Wait, why?
What?
Does he say why?
I think
Oh,
he's an authentic jersey guy. His Torres is authentic, no nameplate,
yeah.
Um,
Saquon's a captain?
yeah, well, last year he was.
Wow. Do you get a star for every year?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I
That'd
don't know
be
how the
insane.
stars work. I
He's
think
nuts.
it's
For
what
Matthew
level.
Slater, he's got 15 stars or whatever. He doesn't. Like 12.
I think it's like, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Hannah Yoshinaga, radio co-host, photography, lacrosse beat reporter, does it all. Favorite, or she has a couple favorites. Aaron Donald, LA Rams throwback.
That's a nice one.
The Rams throwbacks are awesome. Her other favorite, Cody Bellinger, LA Dodgers blue. Another sweet jersey.
I said, was it in that context? We said the cursive and slightly angled lettering on any jersey is a win.
Yeah, I sent you a Braves jersey, a Chipper Jones Braves jersey.
The Winnipeg Jets jersey that you have, Shifley, right?
No, they have their new alternate this year that's like the powder blue with the navy stripes, has like white Jets across like that. I think you're thinking of that.
University of Maine hockey, just
Nashville Predators. Their winter classic one.
You can't beat it. Can't beat it.
All right. And then most obscure, Brandon Ingram, LA Lakers, purple. Biggest regret, this one's pretty bad. LA Rams baseball jersey. Probably one of those like promotional ones. And she said she looked it up on eBay. They're selling for less than $20 and they still can't sell them.
And that's probably why they left St. Louis, because they had to sell things like that.
Mm-hmm. No, it's an LA one.
That's an LA one?
Before they went to LA? Or before they switched to the new branding, I guess?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because now, haven't they gone permanently like yellow and blue and not this like...
Yeah, I mean, so like the throwbacks of this color were just alternates and they're color rush ones. Like, they kept with this scheme. Like they, and the top of our wish list, Rui Hachimura. I hope I said that right.
Nice.
That was good.
Nailed it.
Washington Wizards away or home, whatever it is, icon. Whatever Nike names their stupid jerseys. Chad Jones, radio host, columnist, just dropped a column today reflecting on the Boston Marathon bombing. Check it out. Favorite, Dustin Pedroia, Boston Red Sox Patriots Day when they embroidered Boston across the front.
I'm a big fan of that. Although, is it off center? Why is the T on the middle if there are 6 letters?
I don't know. It's a stock photo because he's unable to get to it because I think he's still in Boston and it's at home. So I know with stock photos, like they kind of just like take the graphic and put it onto the jersey. So it might be that.
Oh, really?
I've noticed like baseball jerseys are weird because they have the buttons. So like something's going to be weird about it. But I don't know. It's not actually, this is a stock photo. So who knows?
Right.
Most obscure, David Eckstein, St. Louis Cardinals. Biggest regret, Paul Pierce.
Ew.
These old green and golds, these were awful. I think we can all agree. At the top of the list, a Bill Russell Celtics.
Wow.
See, I don't love that either, though. I guess it's okay because it's a throwback.
I mean, the Celtics jerseys, the white and green, have not changed. I don't know how you can be upset with it.
No, I see what you mean with like, it doesn't look nice, but I think it's just cool that it's old.
Legend. Okay.
Yeah. Akshay Vadvani, broadcaster and columnist. His favorite is Xavi, Spain national team, 2012-13 kit.
Nice pronunciation, too. Look at you go.
I'm aware. I played some FIFA 13 back in my day. His most obscure is the jersey he wore in 2009-10. This is a cutout of him because he couldn't find the actual jersey.
That is cheating.
Yeah, that's cheating.
But
it says he has it somewhere, but all he could find was this.
I think we all owned a pair of those cleats. And I can picture I can picture the shin guards, like the sock shin guards, where you pull the whole sock on and the shin guards one with it.
Yep, it had the little ankle and shin guard on you.
That's definitely that. Is it
terrible. Awful.
That's such a classic youth soccer move. I think it's a headband. His biggest regret, Fernando Torres, Chelsea, 2013 away kit.
That's a great jersey.
I think it was more of just because how things panned out with Torres on Chelsea.
Lampooned.
Yeah, his most wanted Pat Bev LA Clippers City Edition. Ethan, do you have any thoughts on these? I'm not crazy about them.
So I actually do like them. I think they're a little bit too simple. I think the black and white's kind of boring. I love the font though.
Okay.
I think Beverly is a great choice.
It just looks like it's straight out of GTA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like
and
it's like an Nets kind of. It's kind of boring.
well, it's
But
like
I like.
combined with the Pistons, and I hate it.
I
Like
think if they spiced it up, the coloring, and maybe like added some patterns, it would be cooler.
Mm-hmm.
the Clippers can't decide what branding they want to go with. Do they want to go with this, like, black and white LA, yeah, or are they going with, red and blue, like the old-fashioned Clippers? I don't know. It's weird.
Well,
They gotta just
Steve Ballmer kind of messed everything up when he was there. So
they gotta just ditch the Clippers. They gotta rebrand like their entire franchise.
I agree.
Rename it?
Yeah.
What should they rename it?
Not the Clippers. They should name it the. I don't know. I don't know what other names in LA sports have already been used.
What is a
I'd have to
Clipper?
think. It's a ship. It's like the Portsmouth Clippers.
Oh, yes, that's right.
The Portsmouth Clipper High School Marching Band.
Yeah. So I always get defensive if someone tries to take the Clippers, even though it's a terrible mascot on its own.
And now we have Alex Perry, soccer columnist, soccer podcaster every now and then. His favorite is the Steven Gerrard Liverpool 2010 or 2008 to 2010 home kit. His most obscure is Juventus customized third kit. His biggest regret, Juventus 2016-17 black and white because of how the season went. And the top of his wish list, Liverpool 2017 home kit.
Big Liverpool guy. Wait, 17?
2017-18 home kit.
Why
I mean,
not?
they do new jerseys every year. They're just all like the same pretty much.
Yeah. And
So
they're going to win the league this year for the first time, I think, ever. So, surprised you wouldn't want this year's. Cool, though. It's nice to get some soccer involved in there.
it is.
Big fan of soccer jerseys. And it is weird that they change every year, which is probably incredible for jersey sales. Bonus content.
I'm just gonna plug it. I'm gonna plug it.
No, I want to see it.
All right. So this will cap off the show. So I did a nice little column, like 2,800 words, because I had nothing better to do during this time. About all 29 jerseys I have, we're going to be adding 3 more to the collection.
Officially?
I have ordered. I haven't placed the order yet, but they're sitting in the cart. I'm going to get a Paul Correa Mighty Ducks, the old purple jersey.
Fantastic.
Kobe
choice.
Bryant yellow Lakers jersey, and a Tom Brady red Tampa Bay Bucks jersey.
Oh, God.
Couple legendary players right there.
Wait, you went red?
Concerns.
Okay, red's
I
fine.
think I'm going red. What?
We had
Red's good.
concerns
Just not
about
the gray.
fan allegiance. We had concerns about the sanitization of these jerseys, and you went for it anyway.
Well, I haven't ordered them yet officially, and the allegiance thing, I'm getting the Brady. Like, I want to get the Brady jersey, like, just to have it. Like, I don't want to, like, it's not, again, I don't really support him going to the Bucks, or I'm not going to really be rooting for the Bucks. I think it's just like a good point of conversation, kind of just cool to have. That would be a pretty obscure one. Kind of like what Liam said in part 2 of the WTBU Sports, where like superstars and random jerseys is always kind of funny to me. But here we are. All 29 jerseys. You see them in this thumbnail. We'll jump into it. I'll run through them quickly. I have 10 Bruins jerseys. So we have Patrice Bergeron before they switched to Adidas, the home jersey. The Winter Classic jersey from 2016. And the Winter Classic jersey from 2019. You might notice all 3 of these jerseys don't have the A because of the dumbest thing in the world, where they don't come with the A unless you buy it directly from the pro shop. But it's neither here nor there. They're all legit jerseys. Then we get into Mark Savard, the old alternate, the old Men in Blacks. Picked this up off a clearance rack in Modell's. It was a pretty good deal, I must say. Zdeno Chara, to the old Reebok home as well with the Stanley Cup Champions patch, my first Bruins jersey. And then Tim Thomas. This is a little weird. I don't like my brother got this the same Christmas. The B's weird. The lettering's weird. The Reebok's weird.
Color's weird.
I don't know. My brother's not a big sports guy, so he graciously gave it to me. I'm a Tuca guy, but I think the Thomas one is cool to have.
It looks like you drew on the Reebok with a Sharpie.
We've discussed this already. It's stitched in. I don't know what you want from me.
No, I'm just saying that speaks to the quality, perhaps. I don't know.
And then we have at my house.
No, what?
What?
No, the quality
I
of
think
the
they
jersey.
said the
Oh, you
quality
were
of my
saying
house.
like you didn't like how some of the patches and the logo came out, and I was like, yeah, that's another bad thing about that jersey. I was going with ya.
Okay. So now we have Charlie McAvoy. It's the Fanatics brand, not quite Adidas, not the old one, but it still does the job. Charlie McAvoy BU. David Pastrnak St. Patrick's Day warm up. Tuukka Rask, the new alternates from this year. This one is
That's
pretty
my
nice.
favorite
I
one that
must
you
say.
have.
I think this is one of my favorites as well. Now we jump into the other NHL jerseys. The Cale Makar Colorado Avalanche jersey. JT Compher Colorado Avalanche alternate jersey. Jack Eichel Buffalo Sabres 50th anniversary. Tyler Seguin, speaking of him, home jersey for the Dallas Stars. Mark Scheifele, Winnipeg Jets throwback Heritage Classic jersey from this season. A gritty Flyers jersey. And then this one from Slapshot. I guess it's Steve Hansen. I never really find out their first names in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. And then a couple BU jerseys, blank, but we're going to get those embroidered at some point. This one is also up there for my favorites. The Kemba Walker green icon, whatever you
It's
call it.
ridiculous.
And it's signed. Ethan and I were there for that.
People.
Yep.
I'm
With
only
us.
6 feet tall, and I tower over Kemba Walker, let me just say.
I thought you were getting hoodwinked by that. That whole situation is bonkers.
Yeah, so some random guy on Twitter, I've followed him, he's followed me for a while, and like never really interacted, but like just kind of DM'd me like, hey, I got these tickets to the Celtics Open practice they do every year. Like, do you want them? I was like, sure.
It's so sketchy.
And then I was like, all right, who do I ask? Yeah, it is. And they worked. And Ethan and I went, and I brought a Sharpie. I was like, you never know. And we were courtside for the little yard sale they do of old equipment and memorabilia. Started wrapping up practice, players going to the locker room, got in line right up to where security was cutting people off. And Kemba walked right over, signed it. Quick thanks, and off he went.
Crazy.
What are the chances that those tickets are available again?
I don't know.
That's like 5 months away.
It is. Like,
I
might have to give him a follow. Just lay down the groundwork.
Nice.
Okay. So wrapping it up, we'll try and get through this quickly. Jaylen Brown, the black statement jerseys. Gordon Hayward, this was from Costco, which explains the look, but it was like a why not purchase.
Ew.
And then we have a Kevin Durant, Golden State Warriors icon. I also really like this one. I think the Warriors jerseys are awesome. I love KD, even though people don't like him.
Weirdest jersey you own.
Okay, fight me. Then we get into the Red Sox jerseys. Mookie Betts got this in place of a sweatshirt I was supposed to buy. I think it still pays off.
There's so many good stories about these.
Yeah,
that was a great story.
I guess I'll indulge this one for the listeners at home real quick. So Red Sox have the $9 student ticket offers for playoffs. You get a text. It's like first 100 people in line who are eligible get the ticket. You go right into the park. I didn't know it was go right into the park. In my T-shirt and jeans, perfect for a mild fall afternoon, not perfect for a cold October night. So my mom, loving, caring mother as always, just worry about me freezing to death at Game 2 of the ALCS, great game by the way, says, I'll help you pay for a sweatshirt to keep warm. I go into the pro shop. All they have are the Do Damage sweatshirts, which were very popular but also very expensive considering it was just a hoodie. And I saw this on the wall. I've been wanting a red Sox jersey. They're the best jerseys in the organization. Same price as the Do Damage sweatshirt. And we know what my decision was. Sorry, Mom.
Did you tell her that?
Nomar. Huh?
Did she know about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Nomar Garciaparra blue. I don't know if this was ever a legit jersey they wore, but like they sold them. And I kind of just walked into it. This was my dad's and I outgrew him and it fits me. Nomar's cool to have. I really like him, or really like his highlight videos I've seen. Wasn't really conscious for his prime.
That's another trade that the Red Sox made. They traded Nomar, and it kind of helped them get the 2004 World Series, but it was sad because he was one of their best players.
Yep. And then we have Jason Varitek. It doesn't really fit me anymore, but I mean, it's good to have to give to friends going to the game with me or something like that. This is pretty sentimental. Tech was my all-time favorite growing up until I still liked him, even though I really realized I hated catching. And then we get into the final ones. New England Patriots, Tom Brady, red throwback, best jerseys in the Patriots organization. Gronk, this is, another story. Originally, it was a Hernandez jersey with the Super Bowl 36, I think, patch. They lost that game. It might not have been 36, 46. I don't know. Whenever the second time they lost the Giants. So it was bad enough they had the losing patch, and then everything went down with Hernandez, went to the jersey buyback, got Gronk. And then this one, the Josh Gordon jersey that we talk about so often. Crooked nameplate, came the day he was cut, just awful all around. And there we have it.
Wow. That's aggressive. It's quite a collection. What are you going to do with all of them?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
My
gonna
goal
make for a good background someday if you're on around the horn. Although you've already got a good
Oh, yeah.
around the horn background.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're on Zoom in 5 years, it'll work well too.
I mean, my goal at some point, later in life, obviously, when I have my own house, I have all these pictures and memorabilia and these jerseys, obviously. Get the finished basement going, get a nice TV, hang all this stuff on the walls. That's kind of the goal for all this stuff.
Wow, that's gonna be good. I look forward to seeing it. I think that's it for today.
Quite the commitment you just made.
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
I think that's
I
it.
will leave this meeting.
Yes, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying these shows. We're doing the best we can given fairly limited content and obviously online being our only form of contact. But we're doing it, and I hope you are enjoying listening to it. That's it for today. That is it for episode 46. So we thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.